Hello, friend. This is Ryan Hicks of TalkToProfit.com. Today I want to talk to you about the importance of thinking highly of yourself. Now, I know some people go, well, doesn't the scripture tell us not to think highly of ourselves? No, it tells us this. This is very important. Romans chapter 12, verse 3 says this, "For I say, through the grace given unto me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith." Now that is very important, the wording of it. You're not to think of yourself more highly than he ought to think. This does not mean you are to diminish yourself, demean yourself, tear yourself down, call yourself all kinds of awful things. That's somehow being humble. No, it's just being evil to yourself. It's being blasphemous toward yourself, speaking evil of yourself. It's not being merciful. It's not being filled with grace. It's not being kind to yourself. You wouldn't do that to someone else, so why would you do it to yourself? So I'm not telling you to go around and be boastful and prideful and arrogant, but there is something to be said for understanding in God, in His grace, His mercy, His kindness and compassion, your value, that you're not worthless, that you're not useless, that you're not something to be demeaned, something to be treated like garbage. And so I remember back quite a while ago that I remember someone telling me some nice things about myself, how proud they were of me, all my achievements. And you know what my thought was? It wasn't, thank you, that's very kind of you, God's really blessed me. It was just, they must be making fun of me. There's no way, I'm nothing, you know. And it was just that downtrodden, thinking of myself more lowly than I should, the opposite of even thinking of myself highly. And I think a lot of Christians have that mentality sometimes, that they so misunderstand self-denial that it becomes self-debasement, self-destruction, self-deprecation. And basically they become tools of Satan against themselves. He doesn't have to do anything. They do it all themselves. They destroy themselves. They beat themselves up. They tell themselves negative things. They tell other people negative things about them. They can't even accept a compliment because they're believing they're not worthy. And yet, if God's been so gracious and kind to you, and you've been blessed, and you've had great successes, you should be able to take a compliment. Of course you give praise to God, but you should be able to understand His kindness, His mercy towards you. That God's dealt every man the measure of faith. And there is great power in Him, and great kindness and mercy. And if a man is diligent in his business, he'll stand before kings. He won't stand before mean men. He's not going to stand before average people. This is a promise of the Lord. So my encouragement to you today is not to get into arrogance and boastfulness, thinking of yourself more highly than you ought, but you do need to think highly of yourself. If for anything, if you can't even acknowledge any goodness within you by God's grace, at least acknowledge it for His sake. That He's not wasting His time on somebody that has no value. He's not wasting His grace on someone who is useless. You have value intrinsically within you. And He's drawing that out of you, and He's blessed you. And those are good things to think highly about. Not talking about arrogance. We're not talking about just being puffed up or anything like that, of course. But you also must understand that just as much as those things, being arrogant, being prideful, being boastful, that's a negative thing that you shouldn't be doing, it is just, if not worse, to be the person who is denigrating themselves, who is trashing themselves, who can't take a compliment, who's beating themselves up, who's always talking evil, speaking evil of themselves. God's not doing that. God's not requiring that of you. That's not self-denial. You're completely missing the point if you're doing that. And I know this from personal experience, like I said. This took a while to understand. It was so hard, it felt counterintuitive to me because I put myself into such a low position and treated myself so poorly, talked about myself so poorly, often done in humor, self-deprecation, and it was funny, but it was evil. People would laugh, but I was speaking evil of myself. And I wasn't giving God the credit that He deserved. Oh, you can shoot out a well, God's blessed me. But when you then run yourself down in all the blessings that He's bestowed upon you by running yourself down, you're not giving Him credit. You're not blessing God. You're not being grateful to Him. And I don't think people understand that. You have great value. You have worth. You're not worthless. You're not somebody to be demeaned. Now, I have to be very clear. You're not to demean other people either. They have value as well. They have importance. That's the importance of this verse, where God has dealt to every man the measure of faith. Every individual has value. They have importance. They have something that they ought to think highly of themselves about by the grace of God. Not more highly than they ought, not putting themselves above other people and lording over them and being arrogant and prideful and boastful, being haughty, but in humility, understanding the grace of God, understanding His power, understanding how He changed you, how He made you better, how you are continually growing each and every day, and how His hand has blessed every single step of your path. That is something good. So when a compliment comes your way, thank the person. And if you have a problem with that, because I know I came from that same perspective, I couldn't take any compliment. If somebody complimented me on my shoes or my shirt or something tiny that didn't even matter, I'd have to tell them, oh, it didn't cost that much. Or, oh, it's got this. I'd have to do something to diffuse any kind of kindness, any kind of kind words being spoken toward me. And that's not being humble. That's being debased, destroyed even spiritually. It's not good for you. It's not humble. It may seem humble, but it's not. It is somebody who is seeing themselves as valueless, seeing themselves as less than everyone else, and God's never putting you in that position. So open yourself up today to take a compliment. But here's the thing, because I know some people have trouble with that. As I said, I came from that same perspective. So if you have trouble receiving a compliment, instead today, if somebody pays you a compliment, receive it. Don't denigrate it. Don't diminish it. Don't talk yourself down. But do this instead. Well, thank you very much for noticing that. If they talk about your hair, your clothes, something you did in your business, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's the least compliment in the planet. It doesn't matter. Turn around and compliment them for something. Take that positive vibration that person is giving you, that kindness, that mercy, that grace of God, and return it likewise to compliment them. So you're not taking this as a time to think of yourself more highly than you ought. You're also not taking it as a time to destroy the positive, good, kind words somebody's bringing to you. You're using it all around for goodness. You're receiving and thankful to God for the kindness somebody has bestowed upon you, and you're likewise bestowing kindness upon someone else. And try that. Your initial response may be to try to diminish the compliment. Just accept it and return a compliment in like manner. And watch how your life starts to change. Watch how things start to improve. Watch how you start to receive more compliments. Watch how you start to be more productive. You start to get more value out of life. You start to get more blessings because you will be opening up the windows of heaven, so to speak, to overflow blessing and abundance in your life. Because you're no longer shutting that out. You're no longer resisting kindness. You're no longer resisting grace. You're no longer resisting that person that God has moved upon their heart to say something kind to you, and you just reject it. Now you're saying, I receive. Thank you, God, that someone blessed me, gave me a kind word. And you in turn give a kind word. And you'll start to see the blessings of heaven flow throughout your life. My friend, I pray this is a blessing for you. May God bless you richly.